won't care about intentions. It will only remember decisions. The search is finally over in Dallas. After weeks of interviews, speculation, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering, the Cowboys have reached the end of their defensive coordinator hunt, and they believe they've found not just an answer, but a potential long-term solution. The organization is in the process of finalizing a deal with Christian Parker, with both sides on terms, setting the stage for Parker to become the fourth defensive coordinator in as many seasons for the Cowboys. That number alone tells you everything you need to know about the urgency of this hire. Brian Schottenheimer and the front office understood what was at stake. Defensive instability has plagued for years, and cycling through coordinators has created scheme changes, developmental setbacks, and a lack of identity. This time, the Cowboys cast a wide net, not just to fill a vacancy, but to ensure that when this deal becomes official, it's the last time they're conducting a search for quite some time. And in Christian Parker, they believe they've landed someone who can finally bring continuity, innovation, and accountability to the defensive side of the ball. At just 34 years old, Parker represents the new generation of NFL defensive minds, young, adaptable, and deeply connected to modern offensive trends. Most recently, he showcased his defensive acumen with the Philadelphia Eagles, where his work quickly drew league-wide attention during this coaching cycle. Several teams were interested. Opportunities existed elsewhere. But when it came time to choose, Parker elected to cross enemy lines and sign on with Dallas for 2026, and, in the Cowboys' hopes, far beyond. Sometimes, the best way to solve a problem is to study it from the inside. Schottenheimer clearly understands that reality. By pursuing Parker, the Cowboys weren't just filling a role. They were making a calculated strike against their most bitter division rival. In one move, they weakened the Eagles' coaching staff while strengthening their own, and just as importantly, they tapped directly into the Vic Fangio coaching tree, a system that has historically given Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' offense significant trouble. That alone makes this hire fascinating. But Parker's resume stands on its own merit. A former wide receiver turned cornerback, Parker brings a rare dual perspective to defensive coaching. He understands route concepts, timing, leverage, and how offenses want to attack coverage. That background has shaped his coaching philosophy since the very beginning of his career, which started in 2013 at Virginia State as a defensive backs coach. 2 years later, he took on the same role at Norfolk State, continuing to refine his approach to player development and technique. From there, Parker's rise accelerated. He earned opportunities at Notre Dame and Texas A&M, two programs known for demanding both schematic discipline and elite recruiting. Those stops opened the door to the NFL, where Parker joined the Green Bay Packers, followed by the Denver Broncos, a pivotal chapter in his career. It was in Denver where Parker spent time working under Vic Fangio, absorbing the principles of a defense built on disguise, leverage, and calculated aggression. That experience would later come full circle when he reunited with Fangio in Philadelphia, helping implement a system that became one of the league's most effective pass defenses. The results speak loudly. With Parker's influence in the secondary, Fangio's Eagles defense allowed the sixth fewest passing yards and the fewest passing touchdowns in the NFL during the 2025 season. Even more impressive was the development of young talent. Under Parker's guidance, players like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean didn't just improve. They exploded into first-team All-Pro caliber performers. That ability to accelerate development is not theoretical. It's proven. Before Philadelphia, Parker played a central role in shaping Patrick Surtain II during his time in Denver. Surtain didn't merely become good. He became elite, evolving into a 3-time All-Pro and one of the most respected cornerbacks in football. Coaches don't stumble into results like that by accident. And there's another layer here that can't be ignored. By hiring Parker, the Cowboys gain a wealth of insider knowledge about the Eagles. Not just personnel, but tendencies, stress points, and offensive vulnerabilities. In a division as competitive and familiar as the NFC East, that information is invaluable. It won't win games by itself, but it can tilt margins, influence game planning, and steal critical possessions. This is the man who will now be coordinating the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's a massive get, one defined by upside, fresh ideas, and a modern understanding of how to combat today's NFL offenses. For a team desperate to stabilize its defensive identity and stop wasting elite talent, Christian Parker represents something the Cowboys haven't had in years, a chance to finally get it right. Now comes the hard part, execution. But for the first time in a long time, Dallas didn't just fill a vacancy. They made a statement. The Dallas Cowboys are heading into one of the most important off-seasons in recent memory, and everything feels connected. Roster decisions, cap management, coaching changes, and long-term identity are all colliding at once. And that's why the conversation around George Pickens has become so fascinating. This isn't just about a wide receiver contract. It's about how Dallas wants to build, how patient they're willing to be, and whether they're ready to think creatively instead of emotionally. George Pickens is the biggest name the Cowboys have entering free agency, and that alone creates pressure. Elite receivers don't come cheap anymore, and Pickens is going to command a significant cap hit if Dallas lets this play out traditionally. The franchise tag is an obvious option, but tagging a receiver is no longer a neutral move. It locks up cap space, delays clarity, and sometimes creates tension with the player. That's why the idea of sign and trade has real merit here. It allows Dallas to control the asset while avoiding a long-term financial commitment they may not be fully comfortable with. If you step back and look at the league, there are several teams that believe they're one elite receiver away from legitimate Super Bowl contention. Those teams are usually aggressive, cap-flexible, and willing to part with premium draft capital. Dallas Cowboys Wire floated the idea that Pickens' value could be roughly equivalent to a pick in the low 20s, and when you look at the market, that actually feels realistic. Receivers of his caliber rarely become available in their prime, especially without injury concerns. Buffalo stands out immediately. The Bills are in win-now mode, and Josh Allen has been carrying an offense that lacks consistent explosiveness outside of its core weapons. A receiver like Pickens could stretch the field when one-on-one matchups and take pressure off Allen in critical moments. Buffalo also has the draft capital to make it work without crippling their future, which is exactly the kind of trade Dallas should be looking for. San Francisco is another intriguing possibility. The 49ers have been creative with their cap, aggressive with their roster, and unafraid